to take up a lot of your time because I know you're not here to necessarily learn about the CGA. I'm Matthew Bulmer. I'm the manager of recruitment for CGA. You may see me on campus. I recognize a few faces here. So if you do have questions about the CGA, by all means, give me a call. Many of the student clubs have my contact information, or you can speak to me directly. We do have a table at the back there. You know, it's cold season, so please take some hand sanitizer. That's what those little bottles are. Keep yourself from being sick. I'm a little sick right now, so I apologize if I'm not shaking any hands. But I guess the nature of this lunch and learn is to, I guess, give you a little bit more of an awareness on how to present a case and how to present your plans. CGA is actually quite involved with case competitions across Alberta as well as Canada. We're a major sponsor of the JDC West, as well as a number of other case competitions. So, you know, I don't want to take away from the event here. Do appreciate your time, and turn it over here.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to be presenting a case today. The background on the case is focused around the National Institute of Management Central India campus. It's an Ivy case that I pulled. Background on what exactly is going on. The institution itself has come up with a new measurement system to evaluate their faculty on, and there's been some dissension from the faculty and some problems with it. It's been a process that's been many months in the making, and they finally released it. So it's kind of taking it to the point of how to balance the faculty disagreement and dissension with the goals of the institution and how to move everybody forward in the most effective manner. All right. Education. Non-academic activities, executive education, research and publication, and teaching. This is what the goals of the National Institute of Management Central India campus is. You've come up with a new system that you want to implement for your faculty to not just showcase on education and teaching, but to diversify your portfolio of your professors. You want them to expand not beyond the teaching aspect. You want them to focus on giving back to the institution and showcasing themselves to the world through their research and publication. We at Back It Up Consulting believe we have the solution to help you move forward in the most effective manner here today. When going through the information you provided with us, we came up with a few highlights. Your goal here is to diversify your professors' portfolios. You want them to give back, to do more, and not just focus on the teaching piece. So you rolled out a new system. You, the advisory council, have come up with this new way to measure their performance. You want to have a standardized measurement system across all campuses to add continuity to your evaluation system across the institution as a whole. But as a result of this, there's been some backlash from your employees. The faculty have been left out of the process. They feel disengaged. They feel like they're not getting all the information. They don't know why there's a change to the system, and we need to address this problem now. So as mentioned earlier, you've identified 5 key evaluation areas. Research and publication. You want them to focus on giving back to the world through publications through different journals. You've identified both national journals and international journals, and you've ranked them differently according to their scale and according to what the audience is that they reach. Non-academic administration. You want your professors to give back to the institution. You want them to focus on designing new courses and adjusting them for the betterment of the students. For the executive education, this applies to the non-core group of students, to those other ones that need to be taught as well. For institution building, there's other academic activities such as being hostel wardens for the students. You've rated these on a lesser scale than the teaching, and there's been some dissension about this. And then teaching. You've implemented a new grading system for what the minimum requirement of courses to be taught are. So we've identified a few key symptoms here. There's a fear of loopholes. The new system allows for tremendous monetary gains to be made by professors, and there's a worry that there'll be a focus on simply making money as opposed to teaching the students. Inequitable measures. With the ranking systems between publications, there's some fear that not everybody will get the same credit. For instance, your finance staff have indicated that none of their journals rank on the top 50, so how are they supposed to get recognition in your new system? And the self-appraisal method. You've introduced a method where you want your professors to rate themselves at the beginning of the year and then tie back at the end of the year. But there's no dialogue in between, which they fear is not good for them. Which leads us to the problem that we have here, that the National Institute of Management lacks transparency and communication between your faculty and your administration. So how are we going to address this? We've come up with the bridging process to move you forward in the most effective way. Number one, we want you to lay the foundation. We want you to engage the faculty, to talk with them, and to get their feedback as to how this process is. Second, we want to build the framework. We want to make some adjustments to what you've come up with. We want to tweak it so that it works better for everybody. And third, we want to evaluate the integrity. We want to take a look back at the end of this process and see what worked, what didn't, and what we can do to improve it for the future. So firstly, we want to see laying the foundation happen within the next month from this meeting today. We want you to communicate the system to the faculty. We would suggest facilitating this with a lunch and learn. Bring everybody together in a common environment, a casual environment, and give them the reasoning behind this new change. As well, allow for a question period. Get their feedback. Air out their concerns and their questions so that you can get their buy-in. This is a work in progress, so it's not going to be finite from the beginning. What will this benefit? Or what will this do for you in terms of benefits? It'll limit gossip and speculation. By airing out everybody's concerns, you're going to get the full picture without anybody talking backwards about what they don't like. It'll get your professors buy-in. It'll get them on board and going with the process. It'll encourage empowerment. By asking for their feedback, by working with them, they will be more inclined to work with you. And that builds on the two-way communication, which is so crucial in this whole process. Secondly, building the framework. We believe this will take place over the rest of the year. We want to incorporate 360-degree feedbacks in addition to your management appraisals. This will allow for the professors not only just to appraise themselves, but get appraisals from everybody around them, from the students, from their peers, as well as from the administration to get a better picture of how the professors are performing. Feedback forms. Incorporate regular feedback with the faculty. Have them sit down, discuss what's working, what isn't. And compare diversification. As we mentioned, not all faculties believe they have the same goals in mind, so we need to do some adjustments as to make them feel valued for what they're giving. Again, what will this do for you? It'll monitor the effectiveness. With these regular feedback sessions from the faculty, it'll allow you to keep tabs as to how this program is working. It'll create a objective for appraisals. The 360 feedback is key to get a well-rounded picture of the faculty, not just a self-appraisal. Again, it'll encourage empowerment and focus on the two-way communication, which will be key throughout this whole process. And lastly, at the end of 1 year, we want to take a look back. We want to look at these appraisals, make sure they're standardized, make sure they're working for you and for the faculty. Again, we'll have an amalgamation of the feedback through a campus meeting. We'll bring all the faculty together, have them air out what worked, what didn't, what needs to be changed. And a last change will be on the advisory committee. We would suggest that you broaden your membership to include the faculty on it. It shouldn't just be the core administration. The faculty need to have representation there so they feel empowered and incorporated into this decision-making process. This will again benefit you by monitoring the effectiveness, merging the gaps in communication. It will bring them on board. There'll be less of a disconnect between the administration and the faculty, and again, work on the two-way communication. What are the risks here? We've identified two key risks that we believe could impact this. One, that there's no buy-in. When will we know this? After 1 semester. You have to give them some time to adjust to this new process, but after 1 semester, if there's no faculty buy-in, if there's still problems, things need to be adjusted. We have suggested that you can evaluate the criteria amongst yourselves of the advisory committee or change the incentives. Secondly, there could be intra-faculty competition. Your professors, when they need faculty, could be competing due to the huge monetary gains that there could be for them to take advantage of. This will take some time to research and to figure out. We would say you have to give it a year before you can know this. And changes that can be made, collaborative compensation and changing the feedback method to adjust it so it's fair for everybody. So once again, a visual of the timeline. Within 1 month, we want to lay the foundation, bring everybody together. 2 to 12 months, we want to build the framework. We want to make some small adjustments to make this work better. And after 1 year, we want to look back, see what worked, what didn't, and what can be improved for the future. How will we know this worked? Some key success measures we've identified is the diversification of portfolios. We believe that a 40% increase of what your professors currently are doing away from the teaching. So taking on those extra duties, working on developing courses, doing the executive education. We believe a 40% increase is realistic for this time frame. Education evaluations, we want those to be maintained. We want this change process to be fluid without affecting the students. So we want the evaluations from the students to not decrease or be hindered in any way. And equivalent work units. You've identified 300 work units as being your minimum, 700 being your max. So 500 would give a good range of what the professors are doing to increase their teaching. What are the costs of this program? We've identified 2 key costs with our solution that we presented here. The lunch and learn, we've estimated about 60,000 Indian rupees just for the cost of the venue and the food incorporated here. And second, the feedback. We're incorporating 360-degree feedback will have a cost to it, about 100,000 rupees as we've identified, which, to put in perspective, is the cost of 1 employee. Once more, we have the 1 month, 2 month, and laying the foundation all the way through to getting the feedback. What we believe this will lead is to effective communication between you and your faculty to move your institution forward in the most effective manner that we can. And with this, I'd like to open the floor to any questions. that was a shorter presentation than what you guys are going to have to do. I think you're at 12 minutes? 12 minutes?
12 minutes.
Okay. But there's a few key things in there that I think you guys should take a note of. One, something that's always handy to have in your presentations is at the bottom there. Just kind of a track record of what's going down, where you're at in your presentation for the judges to gauge as to how long there is, where you're at, where you're going to meet the time commitments.
I just want to point out something that he did really well right at the beginning is before starting up talking about anything, he engaged the judges, let's say there's judges, by having a story. So don't just start up right into your presentation, definitely engage the audience, the judges with the story. That really helped, and a lot of judges really appreciated that. So they actually got interested instead of just like, oh my goodness, another case. It makes it unique and something different.
With the highlights, you never want to go over just with the base facts of what's in the case. Obviously, you're presenting to a panel of judges that know their company, know what's going on. You want to just give a really high-level overview so that you're showing that you've done the research, that you know what's going on as well. The analysis you guys have to do, I believe, incorporates the SWOT. We don't do SWOTs in State West, but I'll leave it up to you guys to incorporate those. One thing that's really important is to identify the problem. Within every case, you're going to find there's symptoms, but those all contribute to what the core problem is. So when you're reading, you might see a lot of little things that pop up, but you want to make sure you take a step back, that you can find out what the real core issue is to the organization, and not just base your whole presentation on the fear of loopholes, as it were, when you're going to miss out on everything else.
I would also have like a really good speaker presenting at the end, because one of the big no-nos I found was when the time person held up that last like 30 seconds, and then some people would just rush, and it just makes the whole presentation sound bad. So I have a good speaker who can keep it cool, so when they see that 30 seconds, they can just wrap it up.
Yeah, tying it all together is really important at the end. For your implementation, something that's kind of catchy that stands out, all our presentations usually have